we need here a feminine guidance. The same container of the female that contained the emergence of life will tend to continue protecting that life. I said, forget equality, forget all that. I want something much more beyond that. I want the female movement to be at the essence of decisions because we want to save the world.
In today's busy world, how can we find the inspiration, knowledge, and energy to live a healthy and empowered life? If we balance and harmonize our mind, exercise our body, live according to the laws of nature, and connect to spirit, can we find a way to heal, become our authentic self, and live our purpose with love? I am your hostess, Amy Fournier, and welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite. Before we join this amazing conversation, I wanted to share with you an exciting announcement. I am finally, after everybody asking and people telling me I should, producing my first online course for women. And you know what's funny? There's men interested in it too. Why? Because it's about the 4 life stages of womanhood, the 4 major archetypes that all of us women go through in life: the maiden, the warrior, the mother, and the wise woman. And this course is a compilation of so much of my work and deep dive study that I share with you how I've learned to navigate these different stages, how they all interrelate, how we can live life gracefully and wisely and progress through stages with wisdom. This course is packed full of stuff. We talk about how these different life stages correlate with moon cycles. That's right. The seasons of the year, and even the 4 functions of consciousness. It's packed with amazing, helpful, practical information, and it's going to be a lot of fun that I guarantee you will love. If you buy the course, you have lifetime access. There's training modules and video and even handouts, and you will have live calls with me and the other participants so we can share in this community together. I can't wait to offer this for you. So if you're interested, make sure you're on my email list so you will hear about it. That's amyfournier.com to sign up. So there you go, my friends. Super excited to connect with you on this online course, Goddess Rising. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to share with you all the things that I've learned that have helped me navigate through this crazy journey we're on together. If you are drinking Gatorade or any of this other crap, unfortunately, you're probably doing more harm than good. And there's nothing that really bothers me more than people who are trying to be healthy and trying to make the effort, putting the time and the money into things that they think are healthy. And unfortunately, they're just not. And the more bad news is a lot of these companies don't have your back on that. I like to have high standards both for myself and the quality of the food and things in my life. And that's why I'm so thrilled to share with you a company that not only has high standards and values that align with mine, but also makes products that promote health and do what they're supposed to do. And they taste great. This company is Paleo Valley. Paleo Valley electrolyte has no synthetic ingredients. It harnesses the power of whole food ingredients without added sugars and highly processed synthetic nutrients that you're going to find in other electrolyte powders, even when they say they're healthy. Enter the coupon code AmyFournier10 at checkout, and you can save 10%. And let me know what you think. Welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. This show is about helping you to be healthy and fit in mind, body, and spirit, as well as harmonize your masculine and feminine energy, tap into your intuition, your true source of power, and awaken your authentic self. Well, my friends, the day is finally here. Our much anticipated repeat guest, the one and only Dr. Ibrahim Karim of Biogeometry, is back on Awakening Aphrodite. What an honor, what a privilege, what a thrill. I know you guys loved his first appearance, and if for some reason you haven't heard it yet, you gotta check that out. That was 148 of Awakening Aphrodite, because he talks to us about the origins of the life force, the origins, and the origin of feminine energy, the feminine essence. And I guarantee it'll be information that you've never heard before and a way of thinking and wrapping your brain around it like you've never heard before. It's a must listen. And maybe that's why it's the #1 show on Awakening Aphrodite. Yep, you guys made that the top episode week after week. It just keeps climbing too. So thank you for sharing it. That's what this show is all about, helping get this information out there to all of us so we can all thrive and just enjoy life rather than just survive, and be at peace and in harmony and cultivate our gifts and share our joy and our love with the world. That's what this show is about. So thank you for helping me achieve that and have some fun along the way. So today, in the repeat appearance of Dr. Karim, we get into the right brain. I know you've heard of the right brain, and maybe you're not too familiar with really the function of that part of our body and how to cultivate it more. But hey, Awakening Aphrodite, that's what this show is about. I could call it Activating Your Right Brain podcast, really, because that is the feminine side of your body, your feminine essence, your ability to be creative, to use your imagination, your playful, spontaneous, joyful side. That is your feminine essence. And how many of us are stuck in that left brain? For example, do you overanalyze, right? Do you overthink things? If you have to make a decision, do you first go to your head and think it through and maybe even write down all the steps? Or do you feel in your body what do you think is your gut feeling or an intuition? Are you very structured? You like order, everything has to be in its place? Or are you more spontaneous? Well, these are the right and left sides of the body. And in our lives, we are desperately lacking in this right brain living from our right brain. It'd be like driving with only 2 wheels rather than 4. So if you're predominantly living in your left brain, you are not using all 4 wheels, all of your potential, and all of your fun, I will add. So Dr. Karim, like only he can, shares with us this concept of the right brain and how we can access it, and how it's also related to the concept of multidimensional time. Rather than the lineal time that most of us are living in now, I would say actually all of us are. It's a hard concept to wrap your brain around, but it's critical because that's really how the universe works, in multidimensional time, not just the linear time and space. So we get into the law of cause and effect, the law of resonance, and how that all works. And Dr. Karim gives his personal definition of free will, which I love. It cracked me up, and I promise you'll never have heard that definition before. Why animals are not afraid of dying, what happens when an animal dies, and some of the differences between ancient Egypt life and our modern life. Very, very important and very, very fascinating, frankly, of how they just literally had a different life, a different world then than we have now. How the masculine principle is the diversifying principle and the feminine principle is the unifying principle. And I just want to make sure I'm very clear that one is not better than the other. They are complementary. They are different, very different, but equal. They are not the same, but they're equal and necessary in order for life to evolve. In order for divinity to express itself, we need both of the dualities, both the yin and the yang. So women's intuition is critically important, and Dr. Karim explains to us a little bit more about that, how the feminine is a container for centering and carrying that quality energy, and why it's not a good idea to aspire to be a feminist and for females to be like men. That is not the goal. We don't want to be like men. We want to be like us. We want to be like however we are. And we have our unique gifts and contributions to make that need to be made rather than copying or trying to be like something else that we are not inherently. So Dr. Karim shares how the feminine must see her role as the wisdom bringer, as the giver of women, that we are equal, but we are not the same, and how the feminine has a critical role to bring the values to the community, to the society, to the world. She brings the values, and this is a critical role that is desperately lacking in today's day and age, which is why the world is in the state it is in, and we're kind of in this mess. So the answer is for the feminine conscious to bring balance to that left brain by bringing the values to the picture. Also, biogeometry. We don't get into it too much on the show per se, but you need to check it out because this is a game changer for me. It's just become an inherent part of my life. I wear the jewelry all the time. You can see a lot of it on my Instagram at FitAmyTV, and you can check it out on my website eStore under Biogeometry. Make sure you use my coupon code, which is my name, Amy Fournier. You can save a discount there on purchases. And it's a no-brainer, you guys. You put on the piece of jewelry or you put the cube in your house, and it's going to help bring centering energy to your environment without even doing anything. I mean, they did all the heavy lifting for us. So do check that out, okay? And I also want to tell you one other thing before we get to the show with Dr. Karim, because this is amazing. You're going to hear this at the end of the conversation. While Dr. Karim was speaking, I had the most amazing experience. My desk where I film the show for you is facing windows, which overlooks a little backyard. There's a bunch of trees there. He was speaking, and all of a sudden, a swarm, it had to be about 80 or 100 huge black birds, crows, came out of nowhere, all over the trees, squawking, making noises, flying everywhere, coming right towards my window, dive bombing down off the roof, which is above me, and then swooning up, crisscrossing like fighter jets in front of my window, putting on a show and creating a ruckus. I was literally speechless. I was trying so hard to focus on Dr. Karim and our conversation, and I kept looking because I thought these birds were going to come right through the window. It was incredible. Now, if you don't believe in the experience and the presence of something greater going on the collective field, on the morphic energy that's happening in this unseen that we don't understand environment, I gotta tell you, I wanted to turn that camera around and show you guys what I was seeing. Because while we were having this discussion and he was talking, the universe participated. I've never seen that before. I've lived here probably 14 years. I record this show every week for you for 3 years, and this has never happened. It was nuts. It was undeniable. So that was quite a gift for me, and I just wanted to explain that. So you'll hear me kind of babbling along in the end there while he was talking. So enjoy this unbelievable gift of a conversation with my friend, Biogeometry founder, the one and only Dr. Ibrahim Karim.
And we're back, everybody. Dr. Karim, welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite for the long-awaited part 2.
Well, thank you, Amy. I'm very happy to be with you again. And I know it's been a long time, but we managed to get together at last again.
Oh my gosh, everybody has been anxiously anticipating and just so grateful that you made time in your extremely busy schedule, getting more and more busy, it seems like, which is wonderful. You know, I've mentioned that biogeometry has just exploded in the holistic health space, which is so encouraging. It's such the good news. It is a beautiful solution to so many things that people are looking for. It gives us really practical tools. I'm a big believer. I literally use it every day. I got some of the jewelry on. I got my little mannequin right here. I got my books. I got one. It's like, you know, it's just a part of my everyday life. When I'm having a health issue or someone I love or care about I immediately, I got my BG3 pen in, my IKUP. I'm doing their witness and getting any kind of biosignatures that might be a little bit off, putting them on the emitter. I mean, connecting them with power spots. I got my archetype ruler downstairs in my kitchen. It's just a part of my everyday life. And I can't even imagine my life without it. And I can't quite remember my life without it. It's a go-to tool. And I'll add that your books, I have all 3. I know you're working on the 4th. And I still refer to them all the time because, to be honest, I mean, look at the thickness of this one, everybody watching. I mean, I have not finished this yet, but every time I pick them up, it's new stuff. Even when I listen to your first appearance on the show, 148, I hear new stuff every time I listen to it. It just seems like there's layers and layers and layers. And I remember you had told me once, I think it was the end of the last show you were on, or maybe it was one of our personal conversations. And you said something like, I keep this book on my bedstand right next to my head when I'm sleeping. I think I said something like a couple parts are a little bit complicated. And you said something to the effect of how just kind of read it and it's going to kind of work on your brain in the background and
Yes.
kind of on its own. And I was like, okay. So,
Yeah, it will slowly, because it will sink into your right brain perception. And from there, it will slowly come out from time to time. You'll get more information coming out. So it's like, something that evolves within you all the time.
and is that because my right brain, my higher soul, my higher self recognizes it, even though my Amy Fournier perception brain does not get it? Is that what's happening? Like my higher self recognizes the truth?
The physics of quality in biogeometry deals with 98% of absolute reality that we do not access with our senses. So that is the realm beyond time and space. That's the realm of your heart perception, your right brain perception. So dealing with those dimensions, you're dealing into a multi-dimensional construct, going from individuality to universality. So that's your universal soul. So it's the physics the physics of quality deals with everything beyond our perceived reality. From 0 to infinity, it deals with everything in the universe. And that is actually the dimensions that are present in your right brain, in your heart intellect, as we say. So in your right brain, in your subconscious, it's not you. It's the universe speaking through you. Because let's go a bit here in some detail here. For you to be Amy and for the world to exist, sensory, your senses, your 5 senses have to get information. This information goes into the brain, it is decoded, and then it goes into the meaning level, it is given meaning. And then the 5 senses and the meaning projects this perceived reality outwards on the background of absolute reality, because the background of absolute reality is just life force, formless, completely formless. So it is your senses that project the world out there. What seems solid is only solid for you because of your sense of touch. But this whole world that you project outside is just 1 or 2%. The rest is totally invisible. That's the invisible universe. Now, for you to exist, or for you to project the world you live in out there, because without sensory projection, perceived reality or our world does not exist. So it's very difficult to imagine that without a perceiver, you don't have a world out there. So, but let's go a step further. For your senses to start functioning, you need blood to go to your brain so that the brain starts getting alive and the senses start functioning. That means that you, as Amy, and the world you live in, you are both a secondary step, not a first step. The first step is a living body, a heart that beats, biological function that beat, that can send the blood and send life to your brain. And when that happens, then Amy becomes Amy. You see? So your presence and the presence of the world outside is a secondary stage, because the first one is an unconscious level of life force acting through your body. But it's not your body, because you start existing in the second stage, not in the first stage. So your body is actually not yours. It becomes yours when your senses work and you can touch your body. Then you know, I am Amy and this is the world outside. But before the senses start working, well, the body is alive and then the senses work. So what makes the body alive if you're not there yet? It is the universe that is actually working through you. So your heart is beating. It's not your heart. It's the heart of the universe beating within you. You should look at it that way. All your body functions are actually the universe working through you. And your body is sending the blood to your brain, and then existence, as far as you're concerned, and the world, as far as you're concerned, starts existing. But the body exists before that. So the dimension of the body before the brain and the sensory perception works, that's the subconscious realm. It stays in your subconscious. And it is extrasensory and timeless. And it has multiple time-space construct. It's in all directions, and where past, present, future, everything are there at the same time, because linear time starts only when your senses are activated, when the sensory perception is activated. Then the left brain perception kicks in, and then you personify your environment, even personify yourself. So you become you. Your ego is developed. And what is more important, you develop linear time. So linear time is a left brain construct. But reality doesn't work with linear time. Reality works with multidimensional time. So in reality, past, present, and future are all there. You can move through them. You will live there. Once we leave this body, the sensory perception, we will live in a multidimensional time. But for the time being, we're trapped into this sensory mask. So the Amy that you know is a sensory mask made by the senses. And even your sense of time, linear time, is a sensory construct. So in linear time, you start looking at things like cause and effect, action and reaction. You see, those things are dependent on linear time. So when you discuss things that are beyond that in the multidimensional universal world, you translate them into your linear time, and you explain them through your linear time. You explain them through cause and effects. You take reincarnation, explain it through cause and effect. You take life and death, cause and effects, life and afterlife. But there's no afterlife on the other side because it's not linear. There's another life. So but your linear perception has to translate everything into causality, into cause and effect, into action and reaction, and all that. But all those things do not exist in universal time, in the multidimensional time of your right brain. You don't have all those things because they are dependent on time moving in a linear way forwards. And usually linear time has two components, a mental component and an emotional component. A mental component moving forwards and an inner emotional component moving backwards towards the source. But mentally only perceive the outward one. Your heart perceives the inward motion, but so your emotions perceive the inward path of time, but your brain perception, your intellect, the mental capacity perceives only a linear flow of time that goes forward, you see. So, but if this is only a temporary perceived reality, creating immortal soul, that means it creates a database of sensory phenomena and sensory information. This database is you. And this database works as long as the senses are working. So we have here a sensory mortal soul. That's the one we know. The immortal one, working in the right brain and through the heart intellect and the universal aspect of us, this is an immortal soul. The immortal soul does not have the linearity of time that we have. The immortal soul is everywhere at the same time, you see. There's no time and space that do not constrain the universal soul. In the universal soul, you can be individual, you can be collective, you can be universal, you can be in the future, you can be in the past. Everything is there. But now, if all the laws that we have in the right brain, in our perception, sensory perception, are only valid in the left brain, so what do we have then in the right brain? We don't have cause and effect. Although this is a very important thing that we cannot identify things without it, cause and effect, action and reaction. But they don't exist in your immortal soul. Then what exists there? There's another law. The law that goes through the multidimensional time are the laws of resonance. So your whole life, universal life, works with information exchange from the smallest to the largest through resonance. And that is the whole universe. Your body, your biological functions, they are actually only working with the universal aspect of the soul. When your heart beats, let's say it was beating before sensory perception. Your digestive system started working before sensory perception. So all those work with the universe, with the laws of the universe. They don't work with your sensory laws. So your sensory laws are just a mask that you're wearing. But this mask is not giving you life. The mask you're wearing is just giving you a special sensory perception that limits you to 1 or 2% of reality. Now, we as human beings, when you act, even with your left brain perception, any action will have a resonant effect through all the 98% unperceived reality. So any action you do in the physical world will affect, let's say, all your biological functions, your emotional functions, your mental functions are all affected. So although your perception has to do with only 1 or 2% of reality, your actions affect the 98% that you don't know of. So you're affecting not just your environment, but you're affecting so many other universes, so many other environments that you're not even aware of. In the 98%, with every action that you do here. So, in order to live in harmony with the 98%, we have to have a physics that connects all those invisible realms from zero to infinity together. And we have to have a way of harmonizing all those levels, because ultimately what all beliefs have at their core is the law of producing excellence. Beliefs are there to produce excellence. What does excellence mean? Excellence means that your action here in the physical dimension brings harmony into all the invisible dimensions of the universe. So it's like giving the leadership of your actions to the universe and not to your personality. That means it is divinity that is guiding every action. So that means your action connects to the source. Every action you do connects to the source. And by that, it sends harmony in the whole universe. So we human beings are not aware that we are agents of change, not in our universe, but in the multidimensional universe. We're agents of change there. And because we have free will, we have a problem because, okay, what is free will? Free will comes when modern humanity had a shift in perception from right brain to left brain. So your focus of perception is now in the left brain. The door to the right brain is closed. Primitive humanity had the focus in the right brain. So primitive humanity, when you're focused in the right brain, you are governed by the laws of the universe because the door is open. And you have a weak free will. But that's a weak free will, but at least you have harmony. Then, as the shift happens, when the shift happens to your left brain, the door closes. Now you have free will because you have broken loose from your right brain. And when you break loose, that the immortal and mortal souls that were part of one thing in primitive and ancient humanity have now been separated into two entities. So the moment the great shift happens in your brain, the moment the shift of perception goes into the left brain, to the sensory perception, and the more you interact with the outer world, the more you shift to the left, the more you separate the sensory soul, the mortal soul, from the immortal soul. So the immortal soul has no direct influence on the mortal soul, because the mortal soul has closed the door to the subconscious, because it wants to have its own free will. And there's another word for free will, means I don't want to follow the laws of the universe. That's free will. If you follow the laws of the universe and bring harmony into the world, you feel there's a higher force governing you into making you do the right thing. But the sensory ego the left brain, because the senses have created you. The senses have created your identity. So ultimately, you have to serve them. You have to serve the senses. And if the reins are not in the hand of the subconscious of the right brain, then there's nothing holding you back from delving completely into serving the senses, whatever that brings. You enjoy serving the senses to the full. And that's what happened when the Adamic race was born. The Adamic race, you had human species all over the earth for 3 million years. But the beginning of the Adamic race is the moment that we got free will. When we got free will, that's the Adamic race. And when the focus of perception shifted, went out of the universality of the right brain into the left brain, that is the Adamic race going out of heaven into the earthly realm with their free will, and where they have to learn how to connect back to the laws of the universe to create harmony. So it's a conscious process. Now, when you learn to create harmony, it's a self-reflection in the universal mind that is more powerful than if you're doing it unconsciously. But it also, the moment the great shift happened in your mind, you created this world that you live in. You see, totally separate from the subconscious world. But there are a few things that I deal with in my new books. And that is, for example, I ask the question, it is our sensory perception that creates our world, the external world. We agree on that. Now, if a species has a different sensory perception, they will create a different world than ours, you see. Maybe part of it will be within ours, maybe part of it not. Like, look at animals, for example. Look at your dogs. Now, the animals, they have their left brain perception, but it is connected to the right brain. They are run by the laws of the universe. So actually, they perceive a world where many aspects of the right brain, of the subconscious, are part of their world in which they live in. So you can find your dog interacting with what to them are material beings. They could be angels, they could be other beings. They could touch them, smell them, interact with them, and you don't even see that because we don't live in the same world. Even the material world of animals is a bit shifted. So they have things that we don't have. And they might not see the colors as we see them. You see, they might see just black and white, but they can see other things and interact with other things that we don't. So having different species living on Earth means that you have many material worlds superimposed on each other. Depending on your senses, you live in one of them, but the others exist. And you think they're not material. Okay, they're not material to you, but they're material. Let's say the world of the virus, the world of the bacteria, the world of the bird, the world of the dog, of the cat. You think that they must live in the same world we live in. No, they don't.
Yeah, no.
No, they have another world. But that means...
And even kids, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, but that means, that has a very important meaning on their mental, psychological makeup of all natural species. To them, there is no fear of death.
Yeah.
To them, the transition, animals, birds, and all that live in a multidimensional here and there. If they die here, they're just shedding a body like a snake shedding a body and going somewhere else, like a butterfly shedding cocoon and living as a butterfly. So you think that when your dog and when a cat dies, that it has the same way of looking at its end like we look. No, they're not afraid of dying because they're already in the world, in the other world, they continue in. You see, but we don't see the other world. So we're afraid of dying. But the animal walks in this world and the other one at ease like that, going from one into the other. So if the animal goes into the other dimension, it's like going from this room to the other room. He's been there all the time. He knows what's in the other room. So when an animal dies, we are sad, but the animal is not. The animal just feels a physical separation from us, and you think that the animal is emotionally now upset by leaving us. They're not emotionally upset because they never left us. Their dimension is here with us. It's not because you don't see them. They just moved. Imagine your dog slowly materializing and becoming invisible, but still running around your house. Now, for the dog, he doesn't realize that he's invisible when he's running in your house because he sees you. But you are sad because you don't see the dog. Yeah. That means that all those different layers of reality are here at the same time. Now, wow. When you study ancient civilizations, you think that the ancient people, the ancient Egyptians, for example, that they walked the same earth we do now. They didn't. Because they were linked, their perception was not split perception, left and right. It was linked. So their world was nearer to the world of the animal than ours. Yeah. Now, what does that mean? It means that in the right brain perception, there's no time and space. You have multiple time and space constructs. So entities from all different dimensions of the universe can interact with you. And because your sensory perception is open to the subconscious, you help them translate and materialize into your dimension. So ancient people, primitive people, they helped other entities materialize in this dimension. In primitive man, they were like animals. They didn't help entities materialize because they lived with them. They lived with them unconsciously through the group mind and all that. But as the left brain started becoming a bit stronger, the self-identity started being there, the left brain started being there. So the left brain actually could look into the right brain. The moment the left brain perceives into the right brain, you open a bridge for all those multidimensional entities to materialize in front of you. So when we think of in ancient times, when angels walked the earth, and we read in ancient scriptures, the angels walked the earth and they intermarried with humans and things like that, all the stories. It's not mythology, but it was not the Adamic race we know. It was a pre-Adamic race that actually helped both dimensions cross into each other. So when you see all those drawings in ancient Egypt, all those netters, what you call them today, demigods and all that, they were actually walking the earth with humans. And they brought, when they came here, in their multidimensionality, they had tools that work beyond the possibilities of the physical realm. So they even materialized tools and materialized things that humanity used in building civilization. Why don't we find those tools today? Because when our perception closed, those entities automatically withdrew. In ancient scriptures, they tell you the day the gods left the earth. They didn't leave the earth. It's our perception closed the door, so they couldn't come anymore. So all the tools they brought with them, everything they brought with them, materialized with them, dematerialized with them, dematerialized, so there's no trace left of such things today.
But what about like the pyramids and stuff, and the wedges and the
well, some of the things, some of the things that worked according to linear time and space, they were left here.
Okay.
If there are other objects or tools that worked beyond time and space, with the splitting, they were dematerialized. Like those entities, their physical bodies were dematerialized. They went back to their original bodies in the other dimension. In ancient Egypt, there are clear documents saying that before the dynastic period that we know, the old dynasty, the people who built the pyramids and all that, you had other civilizations here in Egypt. You had, for example, a civilization that was 12,000 years old called the Shamsuhor, the followers of Horus. And then you had 22 years before that called the Neteru. So you actually had between 40 and 50,000 years of dynasties, and the records in ancient Egypt here show every king, his wife, his children, how many years he ruled. It gives details of all those time. But how can they give details of something? And then we come today and we say, no, this must be mythology. It can't be reality. Because we don't know that their world was different. The world of Shamsuhor and Neteru materialized in our world through the human perception, through the quality of perception of the human brain. It enabled them. When this perception changed, those civilizations left, but they left a legacy. Those are ancient civilizations. There are so many things that you see done in ancient Egypt that show a development. For example, you see 5,000 years ago, they were doing brain surgery every day. When we only started doing that 40 years ago or something like that, they were doing transplants. They were doing things like that. They even today, when we have cataract in our eyes, we remove the lenses and put artificial lenses. Okay, the ancient Egyptians, they removed the cataract and they didn't switch the lens. They didn't take away your normal lenses. They just pushed them a millimeter back into the liquid of the eye in order to give them some moisture. And then afterwards, the cataract was gone and you could continue living normally and having normal sight without changing the lenses. We can't do that today. So where did those things, they must be remnants of something they were taught before through those other dimensional civilizations. So these are the civilizations that were enabled, or the multidimensional presence that was enabled through human perception. These dimensions live with us now, but we don't see them anymore. They've been separated. In the Adamic race, they're completely separated. So this is the state of humanity, that when you look at ancient Egypt, for example, or any ancient civilization, you think they walked the same earth like you do. No, only part of it was maybe the same, but so many other aspects of their world was totally different because it was connected to multidimensionality. And we don't know, we can't imagine that an ancient Egyptian walked on a different world, on a different earth. But if we understand how the worlds are formed, and that actually is not a complex thing to understand, that you have multiple material worlds superimposed. Each species has its own material world it lives in. And we don't know that because we are in one material world, we don't know the others. So it's the same. Ancient civilizations lived in shifted material worlds that had part of ours plus other parts in it. And that's how humanity evolved. Now, let us go back a bit in all this and discuss female energy. Where does it fit in there? Female energy is a quality of perception. It's a name given to a quality of perception. Now, the quality of perception that sees unity in things, we call that female. It's a unifying quality. That quality exists in our subconscious. Your right brain, your heart intellect, unifies things. So the unifying aspect exists in the subconscious. And it is what existed before the sensory perception, this unifying holistic aspect. Male perception is an analyzing, irradiating quality that actually identifies components in unity. So the male perception identifies components or manifests the components, while female perception manifests the unity of all components. So imagine a group of things on the table. Female perception sees what unifies them into one whole thing. Male perception goes and sees the details. And when it looks at the details, it loses the unity. So male perception has one drawback in that the more analytical it gets, the further away it goes from the universal unity. Now, why do we call the unifying aspect female? We could call it any other name because there's no gender here yet. It's unifying and diversifying. Why do we give the name female and male? Because ancient humanity that lived in the right brain, I mean, the primitive man, just like animals, lived in the right brain completely. Living in the right brain they were part of all what the whole environment. They didn't have separate identity. Like animals don't have separate identity, they have more a group identity. Their individual identity is weak. So they saw that they were living in one whole universal unity in which they were just playing a part in this universal unity. And then in this universal unity, primitive people were just like animals. This transition to death, from life to death, to them was a normal thing. They just went there. There's no normal thing. So seeing future and past was a normal thing. When you're connected to your subconscious, when your focus of perception is in the right brain, you are actually, you can step into the future, into the past. Everything's in front of you. Just like your dog actually sees the future and the past that you don't see. Your dog might know exactly what's going to happen in your house tomorrow, and he can warn you if there's something that's going to happen even before it happens, because to them it's not past or present. Through their perception, they live in multiple times. They can move through them, you see.
I'll just say that's definitely true, because I literally will have a thought and I don't even move a muscle, and my dog already knows what I'm about to do. Like,
of course, this is right brain perception.
And I haven't even moved yet. It wasn't like I got the keys, so he knows I'm leaving. It was like I'm literally sitting and I'm thinking, I got to go do this. And he immediately goes to the room or whatever that I'm going to be going to. And I'm like, how could you possibly have known that?
Yes, this ability is in your right brain perception. You have that ability in your subconscious, but the dog...
People do?
Wow. Yeah, you have it in your subconscious, but you cannot access it.
Right.
But the dog can access all those subconscious qualities. Of course, the female can access it in certain times when it is needed.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a child.
Yeah.
The child is born and he's going to move, but maybe he's in distress. You will find at this moment the mother waking up before the child gets into distress. He didn't even get into distress yet, but the mother opened her eyes already. Why? Because the right brain perception has no time and space. It sees in the future that now the child is going to have a problem, so wake up, mommy. And okay, this does not happen to a male, for example. If I'm sleeping and a baby is beside me, I'll only open my eyes if I hear the baby move or cry or do something. So because I'm in my left brain, you know, and you cannot, let's say, protect life through left brain perception, through analytical analysis of things. So now, if the ancient, the primitive man who sees the universe as one container in which he is part of, like living inside a huge balloon, and you're part of this life. So many things are similar. So he goes, he feels, he went into his mother's womb. It's the same concept as the container, then left it. So when he wants to paint it with his artistic abilities, he wants to show the world he lives in, he will draw the container, which is a mother's womb, a female figure with a huge belly and small feet and small head. Because to him, that is not saying the universe is woman, but is saying the female figurine is the function of unity within this belly happening in there. So it's the function of unity. So the first figurines we saw were those female figurines, and we call that the female goddesses. He was not thinking of goddess, he was thinking of this is creation. The female figurine was creation. Creation looked like this. But then, if creation is like a container, imagine creation. Creation begins from beyond time and space, from a level of divinity. Okay. If I draw a dot, okay, I see your lovely dog beside you.
Yes, I just gotta tell you, I don't know, you can't hear this, but there are birds going crazy outside my window right now. So, Dr. Karim, something is going on with what you're saying, that all of nature, all my dogs just got up and came to me, and all these birds are flying in front of the window. It's so distracting. So you're, I don't know, they're listening to you. This is crazy. This has never happened before. I have about 400 birds outside my window right now.
Well,
like they're flying. I feel like turning the camera around. They're literally flying, crisscrossing in front of my window.
We are accessing their world with our words now, with our feelings. So they feel communication with our discussion now. They feel that they're part of that. Yes, they feel they're part of that discussion. Now, okay, if I draw a dot. If I draw a dot on a piece of paper like that, now you could look at it and say, it's a dot or it's a circle. It could be either or. Yeah. But if you perceive it as a dot, you're perceiving a center.
Yeah.
You see it as a circular thing, you're perceiving a periphery. So the dot actually can be a center and the periphery. And anything that can be two opposite things is beyond time and space. So a dot is beyond time and space because it can be that, it can be that. It has two opposites in one thing. See? So when the dot, you have a centering principle and the principle of rotation. Those two principles interact together. And then you have the first, what in my book I call the cycons, the first particles in creation, where actually the centering is a dot from beyond time and space. And the container is beyond time and space. Beyond time and space means it is nothing, everything and nothing. So the center of everything in creation is nothing, and the container of everything in creation is nothing and everything. So we are contained in nothing and centered by nothing. Okay. But in this nothingness is a first emergence of life as the emergence of the universal mind in the first pulse. It's an emotional mental construct, a bidirectional movement, like a spiral moving in and out. This creates the mind. Out is reflection. In is an emotional self-reflection. And those two create a certain tension, creating the universal mind in time and space. So the universal mind here is created within the container of nothingness. You see, so now the female has been represented by the ancient as this container. Now look at this container. It is equally the centering and the containing quality of everything. But the centering and containing quality of everything is actually the dimension of nothingness, because there's no time and space there. So the unity of female energy is a unity that has to do directly with beyond time and space, with the divine level. It has to do directly with that. Now, what happens inside it, the creation of the universal mind inside it, that is what we call the male energy. That means the creation starts as things manifesting within this unity, this manifestation of things, this diversification, the manifestation of the components of creation within the nothingness. This is what we call the male quality. It has nothing to do with left brain, right brain, but it's the quality that later the senses acquire as the left brain. So you see, so creation actually, the shell, the female shell, and the components are a balance of divinity and creation within divinity, and it's like a balanced thing where you have everything in existence. When you say everything in existence, you're diversifying. So you're speaking, so you call that male quality. So when you say creation, you mean details, you mean things are created. So you're using a male type of perception. When you say the container, you're using a female type of perception. So these are two types of perception. But they are not gender related, but in a way, their quality of perception is found in the gender. Let's say the quality of unification is found in female energy. The quality of diversification is found in masculine energy. So when we speak about masculine energy, there's a link to male, but it is not the same because there's no gender there. So everything in the universe is basically an interaction. Creation is an interaction of male and female qualities, creating within them the duality of masculine and feminine. You see, this exists within this. So now, when we want to look at female qualities in a time where the more we enter into the analytical aspect of the left brain, that we call now the masculine interaction, we are losing the connection to the subconscious. Every day we're drifting away from the subconscious. What does that mean? The forces of nature, the life force, exists in your body as the female quality of the subconscious, because that's where all the laws of nature is. That means healing of the body comes from that right brain subconscious level. Because the left brain, like we say, it's a secondary stage. The sensory perception is a secondary stage. The original stage is the holistic, unifying universe working through you. So when you drift away from that through an ever-evolving left brain activity and analytical activity of the brain, when you drift away from that, you are losing life force. That means you are losing immunity. That means everything you interact with will have a depleted immunity, because the source, you're never completely separated from the subconscious. The life force will always exist running your body. But as you drift away from it, you weaken it. If you want to perform any type of healing activity, energetic healing activity, it has to come from your subconscious. It can be guided by left brain imagery, but it has to be accessed in the depth of the subconscious, this healing energy to come out. Now, when a society moves too much into left brain, not only does it lose a lot of the life force in general in society, but it loses the healing is actually an interaction between the laws of nature, and the laws of nature are actually the essence of values. So a society drifting too much into the sensory perception will serve the senses and drift away from the values. And that is now the female is looking at what is happening in society, and you want equality. Okay, there is a lot of inequality because a patriarchal society, there's a lot of inequality. But that is not the problem of the feminine movement today, that seeking equality with the male. Okay, it's something that you can seek, but it is not the core of the problem. You see, the core of the problem is the female must seek its role as the wisdom giver in the decisions of society. And that's a totally different thing. You don't want to be equal to the male, but you want to bring harmony into the actions of the male. And that's the feminine role of empowering the feminine role to bring values in society. Because the female, the male or the masculine energy is looking at efficiency, results, profits, and all that. Now, if something brings more profit but is unethical, then the male, or whether he's using artificial intelligence, will go for it because it's more profitable even though it's unethical. Now, bringing in the subconscious female values will actually choose the second best solution with less efficiency but more values. It will balance those two. And then that is empowering the female. The female, the same role that the female plays in the birth process of a child, because the birth process of a child happens as bringing up the newborn in the belly of the mother is a spiritual container. It has BG3. So bringing up the newborn to the earth needed spiritual nurturing. And that is feminine energy. That's gender-related feminine energy. That's the sacred connected with gender-related feminine energy. So feminine energy has a connection to sacredness. Now, once the newborn goes out into society, now the same role that's happening inside the womb should actually happen outside. And that's the spiritual guidance, the ethical guidance of the society. And that is a very important role that you see we miss today in the world. The world is going to destroy itself because of the lack of values. You see, we're killing people everywhere. There's not one spot in the world where people are not killing each other, and where they're killing each other because somebody is financing both parties at the same time, for their profits. So we end up creating, there's no values here. You finance both parties. You give rebels, you give them free weapons so that the governments there buy weapons from you at double the price. So you make a profit anyhow, and you start wars because you're going to go and get the minerals from those countries and all that. So the whole world seems to be getting out of balance. There's out of balance, meaning away from the spiritual centering effect of balance. Killing can be a part of nature. When animals kill each other, when things like that, they do it not because of any profit or something like that. It's a natural thing, and it is done in the proper dimensions that are part of the evolution of the earth. So, but when we do that for profit, then we need here a feminine guidance, because it's a normal thing. The same container of the female that contained the emergence of life will tend to continue protecting that life.
Yeah, keep it alive.
Yeah, to protect it.
To keep nurturing it. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So when you tell me the female movement, I say, forget equality, forget all that. I want something much more beyond that. I want the female movement to be at the essence of decisions, because we want to save the world. And that is how I see the female movement being the conscience of decision. That's bringing the left brain, bringing the female movement or the feminine movement will bring universal balance from the subconscious into the left brain sensory decisions. So that is a bit the way I see this relationship between female and male and all that.
So as we get to the end here, how we can apply this is, it seems to me that would require the females, the feminine, the women to get very clear what their values are in their heart, to get connected with our own hearts, to then be able to speak that to the men.
Well, I have a much easier way.
Okay, please.
A very practical way. Okay. And that is actually applying biogeometry solutions, creating BG3, because BG3 takes you to the divine center straight away. BG3 is the communication to universal balance. In ancient Egypt, the whole civilization was run by Ma'at. Ma'at was symbolized by the feather, and the feather meant universal order. You see? Mm-hmm. So the same thing. BG3 is bringing the universal order through the balancing, centering effect that comes from the higher order into our life. So in BG3, we have a very practical aspect that has no gender-related, let's say, philosophy or way of putting things. Because the moment you use gender-related things, you know, they're waiting for you. The other side is waiting for you.
That's right. It gets very sticky. Yeah.
But if you are using the centering principle in creating divine unity and harmony, that is what is needed. And that is bringing the harmony of the female unity or the female principle of unity into all actions of the world. So I think if we are lucky enough to be able to make biogeometry as a sort of spread it all over the world, a principle like the ancient Egyptian used the feather, then we would be in a practical solution without description, without saying male or female or anything, just the divine light.
The divine light. Okay. Wow. I love that idea. And I love how, as we mentioned in your first appearance on the show, 148, how what's really unique about biogeometry, unlike other alternative holistic healing modalities and thought, is that this isn't really about balancing. It's not about, the swing of the duality. It's bringing the harmonizing center.
Yes.
It's a total different mind concept. That's very, very important about biogeometry, unlike other things.
Yeah.
So,
well,
to your point.
You have enough experience now in biogeometry to know all those things.
I do. So, before I let you go, this has been so incredible. And of course, I have a lot of other questions, but I just have to say, what is it that you think was going on when you were talking? I'm telling you, I thought those birds were going to come right through my window. There must have been 100 birds outside my window, Dr. Karim, and I have trees. They were all in the trees, and they were going on top of my roof and dive bombing down and crisscrossing in front like jet airplanes or something, and making a lot of noise and going nuts. And I've lived here probably 12 years, and that has never happened before. 3 years of recording shows. It's never happened before.
No, in what we were speaking, we were speaking about something that took us in their world.
Okay.
We were discussing their dimension. We were discussing the animals, the birds, the trees. So all of a sudden, resonance happens with them, and they feel at home with us now. We're discussing their world. We have become aware of the superimposed realities existing here in which they live. It's as if we acknowledge their world, So they come and interact with us.
Yeah. I couldn't even, I was having a hard time listening to you because I literally thought they were going to come right through the window. Like, it was like, what the heck is going on? Wow. Yeah. We were obviously very tapped in. That was incredible. Dr. Karim, once again, I'm just kind of speechless. I can't wait to listen to this back already. Thank you so much for imparting your incredible wisdom and knowledge with us, and so important at this time in the world. I really, really, my prayer is that it reaches a lot of people to help us get more in tune with our values, balance our right, left brain, access the divine, harmonize ourselves in the world.
Well, thank you, Amy, for inviting me to your nice show. And I think hand in hand, we will make a difference.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And everybody, You can find Biogeometry obviously online. You can link to it from my store. There's a coupon code there that you can use because they've got the beautiful jewelry that you can wear to help harmonize your things. They got home kits to help. I just bought. I have the water stickers and stuff to put on my water, and the bioelectrical. It helps you harmonize electromagnetic rays. The wonderful books, the newest one, Hidden Reality, and the biosignatures, and you can get in touch with me or other practitioners to help you learn more about it. You have online courses that people can study their own time to learn how to apply biogeometry to their lives. I know you're coming to the States in March, depending on when people are watching or listening to this. They might have the opportunity to hear you live, which is incredible. And I just can't say enough about how it's changed my life. And I thank you again, Dr. Karim.
Well, thank you, Amy. And it was an honor being with you on the podcast.
Amazing. I can't wait for my in-person hug too. I'm coming out to Boulder.
In March when we meet at the Gaia conference, then we'll have all the hugs you want.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait for my BG3 hug. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, everybody, thank you so much. And all that will be in the show notes, links to biogeometry, more information. Again, the books, the courses, the first appearance, episode 148 with Dr. Karim, which was the #1 episode of Awakening Aphrodite and still climbing. And remember, you can get your discount on my website by using my name, Amy Fournier, at checkout. That's on my e-store, and you can get a discount on all the amazing products that will absolutely change your life. Okay, Dr. Karim, I'll let you probably get to bed. It's probably very late there in Egypt.
It's very late, yes, in
My
Egypt.
goodness, I'm afraid, what's it, like 11 o'clock or something crazy?
It's, yes, it's 11:30 at midnight.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Right. Thank you.
No, it was a pleasure being with you.
Thank you so much again. Well, from me, the dogs, and 400 birds outside my window.
Say hello to all of them.
I will.
Big hug to the dogs and the birds and everything, all those around you.
Big hug. Thank you, Dr. Karim. Okay. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Would you like to support my mission to help empower people all over the world to be all of who they truly are? If so, please subscribe to the show, leave a review on iTunes, and share it with a friend. And if you're looking to take immediate action to align your energy and optimize your health, visit amyfournier.com. Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite. Let's awaken her together in you. I'm your hostess, Amy Fournier, and I already can't wait to be with you again and for you to hear what I have planned for the next show.
Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. To learn more about Amy, check out her website, amyfournier.com. That's AMYFOURNIER.com. You can also check out Amy's live and on-demand virtual fitness and yoga classes and sign up for her newsletter to receive a free mini ebook of 3 of her top tips for making holistic health a lifestyle. Again, that's amyfournier.com and get your ebook sent to your email immediately. Connect with Amy on the daily on Instagram at FitAmyTV, FITAMYTV, and watch many of the podcast episodes and subtopic clips on her YouTube channel, which is also FitAmyTV. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time on Awakening Aphrodite.